The teen's name was Liam, a 17-year-old carrying more weight on his shoulders than his thin frame could ever justify. He wasn't a bad kid, but he had learned to hide bruises behind anger and loneliness behind volume. His home was not a place of rest but of survival. His father, once a bright mechanic who laughed loud and hugged hard, had lost himself in the fog of unemployment and bitterness, leaving Liam to fend for himself and to deal with the fallout of a man who didn't know how to carry his own pain without handing pieces of it to his son. Liam had grown up swallowing the thunder of slammed doors and the sting of shouted accusations, and anger had become the only language he could speak fluently. That morning, he was already carrying the storm inside him when he pulled up to the gas station. He was late for school, his father had exploded on him again, and he felt like the entire world was pushing down on his chest. He didn't notice the old biker at first. Just a tired, rough-looking man with a faded denim shirt and a leather vest patched with scars of adventures Liam couldn't imagine. The man's beard was silver, his movements slow and careful, as though he carried both age and stories in his bones. To Liam, though, all he saw was someone standing too close to the pump he wanted to use, someone who looked like another obstacle, another reminder that nothing ever went smoothly for him. His temper flared before reason could catch it. A few harsh words left his mouth, hot with frustration. The biker didn't react, simply raising a gentle hand as though urging peace, misunderstanding, or maybe just patience. But in Liam's anger-inflamed brain, that soft gesture felt like an insult, a flame on gasoline. Before he could stop himself, before he could even think, Liam raised his hand and slapped the older man across the face. The sound was so loud that even Liam flinched. He hadn't meant to hit that hard, hadn't meant to let everything inside him explode through his hand. The biker froze, not out of fear but surprise. His eyes, soft, tired, unexpectedly kind, met Liam's in a way that made the teen's stomach drop. But the moment shattered when engines roared to life behind them. Liam turned, and his blood ran cold. One biker had been fueling nearby. Another had just pulled in. A third had been checking a tire. And when those three saw what happened, they didn't hesitate. They reached for their phones, calling brothers, calling a family knitted not by blood but by loyalty. Within seconds, engines growled from down the road, the sound cascading like rolling thunder. One bike. Then 2. Then 10. Then 20. And before Liam could even swallow, 60 riders had flooded the station, forming a tightening circle around his car like a living steel fortress. Liam panicked. His heart pounded wildly as he backed toward his car, fumbling for his keys. These weren't kids from school he could run from. These were grown men, powerful, leather-clad, battle-hardened by life and the road. Their boots thudded onto the pavement as they stepped off their bikes, forming a wall of silent, intimidating presence. Liam could barely breathe as their shadows swallowed him. His legs trembled. His throat closed. His anger evaporated instantly, replaced by raw fear. He didn't even look back at the old biker, shame blurred his vision too badly. The bikers didn't touch him. They didn't shout. They didn't advance to hurt him. Instead, they created a powerful silence, a silence heavier than any confrontation Liam had ever experienced. The old biker, the one Liam had slapped, stepped forward slowly, rubbing the sting out of his cheek. The circle parted for him like soldiers making way for a general. Liam braced himself, convinced this was the moment his life would be rearranged by fists or worse. But the old biker didn't hit him. He didn't yell. He didn't even raise his voice. Instead, he simply looked at Liam with an expression that felt like a mirror reflecting every wound the teen carried inside. Liam felt something break. The old man's name was Hank. Widowed. Retired veteran. Father of 2 daughters who rarely visited. Grandfather to a toddler who sent him drawings by mail. A man who had lost more things than he had kept, but who never allowed bitterness to take him. When Liam struck him, Hank didn't see rebellion. He didn't see disrespect. He saw a kid drowning. And he knew the look because he had seen it before, in soldiers, in young men who came home from war hollow-eyed, in neighbors' kids who wandered the streets looking for a place to put their pain. Instead of anger, Hank offered Liam something no one had given him in a long time: understanding. Liam didn't know how to respond to it. The kindness hit harder than any punch could have. He wanted to run but couldn't. He wanted to speak but words tangled in his throat. The bikers remained silent not because they wanted revenge, but because they respected Hank's choice. If he had wanted to punish the boy, they would have stood behind him. But Hank wasn't a man who answered hurt with hurt. He believed in facing storms with calm. And so, with 60 riders watching, Hank placed a steady hand on the hood of Liam's car and asked in his quiet, steady way what was really going on inside him. Liam's chest collapsed. For the first time in years, he told the truth. Not all of it, not in detail, but enough. Enough for Hank to hear the tremor in his voice, to hear the exhaustion, to see the loneliness clinging to the boy like a second skin. The other riders softened as they listened, the tension in their shoulders easing. This wasn't a punk trying to act tough. This was a kid starved for stability, desperate for someone to care. The bikers exchanged glances that spoke louder than words. Slowly, the circle loosened. Hank asked Liam to follow him to their clubhouse later that evening. Not as punishment. Not as payback. But as guidance. Liam hesitated, unsure if walking into a biker clubhouse was a good idea, but something in Hank's eyes made him nod. For the first time in a long while, someone wasn't telling him what he had done wrong, someone wanted to show him something right. That evening changed Liam's life. When he arrived at the clubhouse, he was surprised to see that it wasn't some dark, dangerous place. It was more like a community center built from leather and chrome. Men in patched vests laughed over old stories, worked on bikes, played pool, and grilled food for anyone who came by. They weren't criminals. They weren't violent. They were a brotherhood built from respect, discipline, and loyalty. And they welcomed Liam with unexpected warmth. Hank took him under his wing, teaching him how to change oil, how to keep a calm head under pressure, how to stand up without lashing out. Over weeks, Liam returned almost every day. The riders became mentors, giving him structure when his home life gave him chaos. They checked on his schoolwork, helped him apply for part-time jobs, taught him discipline not through threats but through example. Liam transformed quietly, steadily, like metal reshaped by steady hands instead of a hammer. The turning point came one night when Liam's father showed up at the clubhouse. Drunk. Angry. Spitting words that cut deep. Liam braced for embarrassment, but something unexpected happened. Hank stepped outside and spoke to the man with firm compassion, not aggression. He explained what Liam had been doing, how hard he was trying, how much potential he had. Liam's father, overwhelmed by shame and alcohol, broke down, admitting he wasn't the man he once hoped to be. Hank didn't judge him. He simply helped him inside, offered him coffee, and gave him the same steady empathy he had given Liam. It was the beginning of healing for both father and son. As the months rolled by, Liam grew into someone he hardly recognized. His temper cooled. His confidence grew. His fear dissolved. The same teen who once slapped an old biker now rode alongside him during charity runs, delivering food to shelters, raising funds for veterans, helping at community events, and becoming a symbol of how guidance can transform anger into strength. Hank treated him like family, and the brotherhood became the support system Liam had never known he needed. Years later, when Hank fell ill, it was Liam who sat by his hospital bed every night, reading to him, helping the nurses, and promising he would live the lessons Hank had taught him forever. And when Hank passed peacefully, surrounded by riders and the boy he once forgave, Liam didn't crumble. He stood tall. He carried Hank's vest at the funeral, walking at the front of the procession as 60 riders followed behind him, the same 60 riders who once surrounded his car in a moment of fear, now escorting him with honor and love. And Liam, older, stronger, kinder, eventually took Hank's place as the one who stepped forward when young people struggled. He carried the same calm wisdom, the same unshakable patience. He became living proof that one moment of compassion can rewrite a person's entire life. If this story has touched your heart, if you believe that understanding can heal anger, that forgiveness can rewrite someone's future, then please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue telling stories that remind the world that kindness still exists. Special request. Before the video ends, tell us in the comments, do you believe everyone deserves a second chance?